to my understanding, this vine here is called kudzu, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they said they brought it over here from China, and it is everywhere. It appears to be an extremely hardy invasive species, and it's like overtaken just swaths of like the forest around here from what I've seen. And so, yeah, I'm trying to get rid of it to clear off some of this to make marks for where a driveway could be. And it's pretty annoying to deal with. It's got rooted all over the place, and when you try to pull it up, it snaps eventually. And yeah, you really need something done about this. So you might be able to tell that fall does not care about all the raking I just did. All these little roots and vines are kicking my ass. So we've got all that cleared out to about where I think a line can be drawn. So I'm gonna have to go back down to the road and try to rake off some of this other debris, and then I'm gonna use my rope to run kind of like, you know, some lines, and then use those lines as a guide, and maybe try to take the spray paint and paint the lines. All right, so here's what I've done. I'm back up here now. I tied stick to that rope, and I tethered it down there to that post that's there for some reason. I don't know why, but I figured it was a good point of reference. So what I'm going to do is pull that rope tight and then use that line up to somewhere around here where I want to make like a mark, and then I'll just use that rope as the guide to put the paint. Sounds simple enough. Come on. Kidding me. It sprays out of the top. I've never used marking tape or paint before. I didn't know it sprung out of the top like that. Oops. Whoa. It's blowing some of the soil away, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to get a good mark, but I think we got it. Well, that's kind of a half-assed mark, but I don't even know if it's necessary, but it gives me kind of an idea. It seems fairly in line with the one that I put up there. We'll see how she goes. The bad part about making these markings is that, first of all, I don't know if they'll be there by the time, if and when I get to it. And second, it's going to make everyone by here think Oh, something's going on over there. And I don't know. Is something going on? Wow, this rope's longer than I thought. Well, we either have a marker to dig for a driveway or we have some avant-garde artwork on the mountain. So there's our line so far. I just painted this part here. Comes down. The only thing is, you can see how, I don't know if it really shows, but it's kind of sloped and we couldn't really pull very accurate measurements. Down here, it looks okay, more or less from what I can tell, but as you can see here, it kind of has a bend in it. And we're kind of going up, and I didn't even stay on the line. You can see there's a little marker that I put down the sticks that I hammered into the ground. And so I stayed like, you know, what is that, like a foot or so at this point off of it. Because I thought maybe it's possible we just didn't measure accurately due to the steepness and the slope here. But there's also the consideration that a bigger portion of this might be excavated to create like a turnaround, a parking area, whatever you want to call it. So I didn't think this needed to be 100% accurate. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we can't start digging yet because I want to do measurements to figure out the grade. So now that we have these marked, and again, they're still somewhat approximate, I'm going to try to, yeah, it's a bad angle, but whatever. I'm going to try to use the measuring tape and figure out horizontal markers along here and note like the depth that they need to be dug for the grade that we need. So basically what I need to do, I'm trying to figure out what kind of grade would work. So I'm thinking what I should probably do in that regard is take the rope and put it down at the ground where the driveway would begin, and then go up at an angle based on measurements that would kind of insinuate a grade and see how steep that looks. And if that looks okay, then I can make marks that I'm talking about marking. Something like that. At this point it would be helpful to have someone else here, but we'll see how much energy I have and how much daylight we have. I think we're doing pretty good. It's only like 4 o'clock, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm trying to use this little vine thing to anchor this, but apparently I'm putting too much tension on it now and it's giving way. But what I'm trying to do here, if you see, can you see that right there? Where is it? Where am I pointing? I put a mark down over there somewhere. There it is. There, right there. Can you see it? mark down. So what I figured, I don't know how good a 20% grade is. That's kind of what I'm working with right now. From my understanding, 25 is the maximum. I think 15 or 12 is what you really want to go with, but I don't know. I'm just going to measure it based on 20 for now and just kind of see what that gives me, what it looks like. But that would be about 4 feet up for every 20 feet of length. So what I'm trying to do is mark every 20 feet, and then I'll know, go up 4 feet, then 8 feet, and I can figure out the, you know. All right, so here we go. That's too high and I give up. This is so daunting, man. All right, so here's mark number 1. That's about 20 feet from the beginning down there. We come up. This is mark number 2. So that's 40 feet. And down here, mark number 3. This is 60 feet. And then finally we have mark number 4, which is 80 feet, based on where I've determined the beginning is. And it's about 90 feet total to this property line here. So I just went ahead and marked all of that. And now I just have to measure the heights. I'm going to wage war on these vines. Can't work for them, you can't rake, everything's getting caught in the rake. You try to pull them out and they're too stiff. You try to get the measuring tape around them, they're holding it back. You try to walk through them and they trip you. Not that that happened to me. You can see there I put a horizontal line. If you can see that, there's a horizontal line there for 4 feet. Obviously, reaching up to 8 feet around here is kind of difficult, so I just have a line that I thought was approximately 8 feet there. And then down here, obviously I can't get up 12 feet, so I just put another horizontal mark at 4 feet, and I'll try to measure from up there if I can see what the hell I'm doing, or maybe wait until I have another person, and I'll drop the line down from there at that line right there. I'm trying to point, but I'm not showing where I'm pointing. I'll drop this end to that line and then measure up 8 feet, and that'll be 12 feet. But surprisingly, it's not looking too bad. That is a pretty heavy grade, but if we at least started with that, I think we could potentially get up there, and 8 more feet up to that, like it's getting pretty close. So maybe, I don't know, I don't want to speak too soon at all, but maybe it won't be quite as much of a task as I was anticipating, at least on this end. That end, of course, it is what it is, but maybe over here it won't be quite as bad. Maybe. So what I'm going to try to do now is go up and measure and see what I can get, but also I'm going to try to make corresponding lines so that I can see what I'm working with here. my measurement, like where I'm anchored, is about a foot off, so I forgot and was coming through marking my exact measurements, so I had to come back and redo those, compensating for that foot that I lost in the beginning. So let's hope it's accurate. We're eventually going to hopefully have lines that go all the way down. Well, the camera battery died on me, so I'm just going to finish this up here. I did the lines. I don't know how much got recorded, but like I had to redo them because my anchor was like a foot off, and I forgot, like I did it for the first line and then I forgot to compensate for the succeeding lines. So I went back and did that. So we have a general marker, but I'm going to have to wait until I have some help in order to get the marks vertically from down there all the way up to here. But for now, you know, I don't know, I'll just figure out what else I can do in the meantime and just try to get some of that more repetitive stuff done while I'm not able to vlog it. Look who I came across just sitting out here watching me work. He's a big boy. Ah! Oh, I don't know why that scared me. I just didn't expect him to move like that. Alright, I'll leave you alone. Well, it's been a couple of days since I came up to the property and was doing that work, and we had some wind and rain. I think they were coming off of a hurricane or something. I didn't really look into it, but we've had some pretty bad weather. So I'm curious what's left of what I was trying to do. So I'm not expecting many paint marks to be left, unfortunately. Alright, so here we are. This is where my vertical line was there, going up to there. I'm not seeing any paint except for some of my markers on more permanent things like wood and rock. Got a little bit of paint here still. Right here on this, looks like it fell down from up there. Right about there we've got some. There's my attempt at an 8-foot mark, I think. Here's my what is this, 60 feet, something like that mark. That one's pretty good. It stayed pretty well. Got some leaves that it's on. And then finally my 80-foot right here. Oh, I guess I missed it. We do have a little bit of those other marks right here. A little bit there, a little bit there, and up here. Just the angle of the sunlight made it hard to see. Let's head on up and see what we got going on up there. All of my little footing areas are covered in leaves. There's even a cobweb in there. It's like I haven't been here in forever. Whoa, that rock moved. I've got some paint left, that's good. We got this line here. Still got it right there. Sorry for the shadow. Here's my 20-foot mark. Coming on down. There's a fair amount of it left. Pretty visible line here. Continuing, we got this marker here. What I wasn't able to show the other day is I made some new markers. There's one there, and then one up there. This is kind of marking out our potential 20 by 30 area here. We'll see how that goes. And I put a new marker right here to what might actually be the 10-foot mark, as opposed to that one up there that I had to try to compensate for. We got a marker here. We're lying all the way across. This is our 20 feet from there marker, from the edge. I cleared out this section over here up to this pole. And then I got a corner marker here that held up well. It's a rock and a stick. So I guess we're sort of okay. So that storm hammered us pretty good. We had 2 days of rain, which I saw in the report, but the second day, the first day was misleading. It was just some wind and some rain. It wasn't that bad. The second day, yesterday, oh, we've been out of power over 24 hours at our apartment right now. No power, no running water. I've got probably at least $50 in food that's probably gonna have to go in the garbage, stuff I just bought at the grocery store the other day. So that's how this endeavor wrapped up, I guess. Hopefully things will get restored and we'll be back up working here in no time. Of course, the power being out doesn't stop me from working up here, but you know what I mean. But that's what we're dealing with. That's how things are going right now. See you in the next one.